So you're a seasoned professional. You've got decades of top-tier corporate experience under your belt, and you're thinking, hey, a high-paying government job could be a great next move. Makes sense. But here's the thing. The federal hiring system, it's a completely different beast with its own language, its own rules. Today, we are going to crack that code. Okay, let's just start with a number that, well, that's pretty shocking. Get this, over 80% of all applications submitted on USAJOBS, that's the government's main job portal, are automatically rejected by a computer before a single human being ever lays eyes on them. 80%. And the crazy part, it's not because these people aren't qualified. No, not at all. It's because their resume, that polished corporate resume they've spent years perfecting, is, as one expert put it, formatted for the wrong universe. You could literally be the most perfect candidate on the planet for that job, but if you're using the wrong format, you're completely invisible. So what is going on here? Why does a resume that gets you interviews at Fortune 500 companies just completely fall flat in the federal system? Well, we're going to break down the 4 biggest reasons right now. First up is the most basic problem, but it's a huge one, the format mismatch. The actual layout and the specific bits of information the federal government requires are just fundamentally different from everything you've ever learned in the corporate world. You know that sleek 1 or 2 page resume you're so proud of? In the federal world, it's actually a liability because the system is looking for these very specific details that you'd never put on a corporate resume. We're talking about your old supervisor's name and phone number, your exact salary for every job right down to the penny, and the precise number of hours you worked each week. If that information isn't there, the automated system just kicks you out. It's that simple. No second chances. The second major problem is all about language. See, the federal hiring process revolves around this acronym, KSA. It stands for knowledge, skills, and abilities. And you have to speak this very specific language, or the system just doesn't understand what you're trying to say. Think about it like this. A federal HR person is sitting there with a literal checklist. They are looking for the exact keywords and phrases from the job posting. So your resume might say you led cross-functional teams, which is great. But if the job posting was looking for someone who coordinated interagency stakeholder engagement, guess what? You don't get the point. Synonyms, even if they mean the exact same thing, just don't count. Okay, hurdle number 3 is something called specialized experience. And this isn't about getting the system to, interpret your background or see your potential. Nope, this is a direct black and white matching game. What this means is that your resume has to essentially mirror the duty descriptions that are listed right there in the job posting. This is how you prove you have at least 1 year of experience at the next lower grade level. You're not trying to show them you could do the job. You have to prove almost word for word that you've already been doing the core parts of that job. And finally, we have the timeline. This is where so many talented people accidentally sabotage themselves. And it's all based on a simple misunderstanding of how things work in the federal government. Yeah, you're seeing that right. The typical hiring process, from the day you hit submit to your first day of work, takes anywhere from 3 to 6 months. Corporate professionals, we're used to things moving in a matter of weeks. So what happens? People get discouraged, they miss a request for more documents, or they just take another offer, knocking themselves out of the running without even realizing it. Okay, so that's the bad news. That's the obstacle course. But here's the really good news. This is a learnable system. So now we're going to shift gears from the problems to the solutions. This is the insider's playbook for translating your incredible corporate career into the language that the federal government not only understands, but really, really values. The secret sauce is this: the 4-component translation framework. It's not about inventing new experience. It's about reframing what you've already done. We're talking about creating duty-mapped narratives, figuring out your hours and grade equivalency, weaving in those KSA keywords, and quantifying your results in a way that makes sense in a federal context. And right here, this is the aha moment. This is where it all clicks. Look at this. On the left, you've got a standard corporate bullet point, managed 45M P&L for Northeast region. Solid, right? But look at how it transforms into a federal narrative paragraph. It details the budget, the number of people managed, the strategic planning, the compliance, all the rich context the federal screener needs to see to start checking off those boxes on their list. This shift from a simple bullet to a detailed story is probably the single most important thing you can do. So this brings up a really common question people have. Should I use that clunky online resume builder on the USAJOBS website, or can I just upload my own pretty PDF? And, well, the answer is a little more nuanced than you might think. The strategy the experts swear by is what's called the hybrid approach. It's the best of both worlds. You start by using the USAJOBS Builder. It forces you to learn the format and make sure you don't miss any of those weird required data fields. Then you take all that information and create your own beautifully formatted, easy-to-read version that you upload. This way, you satisfy the computer first, and then you impress the human hiring manager who reads it later. Now for my favorite part. This is the most empowering piece of this puzzle. If you are an experienced professional, especially if you're over 40, you might feel like you're at a disadvantage in the job market. But in the federal world, you're not. The entire system is actually structurally designed to work in your favor. Let me show you why. Just look at this. Your corporate experience maps directly to these high-level, high-paying federal jobs. If you were a director or a VP in the private sector, you're likely looking at a GS-14 or GS-15 position. And the salaries for those roles? We are talking $150,000 to $200,000 a year, or even more, depending on where you live. And honestly, the benefits go way beyond just the salary. The federal government has incredibly strong and, more importantly, enforced age discrimination laws. The job security is unparalleled, and you get access to the federal pension system, FERS, which can be a game changer for your retirement. On top of all that, a lot of these senior roles have what's called direct hire authority, which means they can skip parts of the normal, lengthy process to get the right person in the door quickly. Okay, you know the problems. You have the playbook. You understand the incredible advantages you have. So what now? Let's make this real. We're going to lay out a concrete, actionable 2-week sprint to get you started immediately. Here's the plan. It's simple. Week 1 is all about prep. You're going to find 5 job postings that look like a good fit, and you're going to use that translation framework we talked about to build both the builder version and your slick hybrid version of your new federal resume. Then in week 2, you go live. You start applying, you get a feel for the online questionnaires, and you get your pipeline going. And this really is the key long-term mindset. You can't just fire off one application and then sit back and wait for the phone to ring. You have to treat this like building a sales pipeline. Your goals should be to apply for 5, maybe 10 positions every single month, tweaking and refining your resume as you learn more with each application. So we'll end with this one, crucial question. Is your 20, maybe 30 years of incredible experience speaking the right language? Because after everything we've gone through, it's pretty clear that translation is everything. For those of you who want to be absolutely sure, there are even specialized tools out there that can scan your resume to see if it's set up to pass those automated systems. But ultimately, it all comes down to making sure your hard-earned experience gets the credit it truly deserves.